Just turn the awareness toward itself. And it knows itself when it's there. And you will feel it, but it won't be a feeling, if you catch my drift. Could you feel the shift in the room? This is a great practice. Driving, you can do it. You can drive along and your eyes are just peeled back and you're moving forward. And what the spiritual healing, this book, The Art of Spiritual Healing, is saying that when you are in God consciousness, or the consciousness that is this one shared consciousness, when you're in that and you go deep enough into it, then you actually contact a different level of being. I also want to talk to you today about the book we're doing, which is The Art of Spiritual Healing by Joel Goldsmith. Copies of this can be hard to find. You can go to our website and there's a PDF. You can actually download the book if you want it. If you can't find it someplace else. There are multiple places other than Amazon that have it. But anyway, if you can't find it anyway, you can download it, and then you have lots of paper on your desk that you can flick through, make notes on. I want to read you something from it first. Let me start off. In this new language of spiritual healing, the first and most important word that must be understood is the little word as. An understanding of which eliminates forever the sense of duality. God is manifest as individual being. If God is manifest as individual being, there is not a God and man. There is not a God and you. Therefore, there cannot be a person going to God for something. During the years when I was devoting my time exclusively to the healing work, as patients came to me, I learned not to see them as human beings, nor to look to God to patch them up. I saw that everyone who came to me was the God appearing as an individual being, and that truth revealed harmony. That truth revealed the divinity of their being and body, and that revelation was the foundational stone of this way. There is only God manifesting in its infinite spiritual nature as your being. I and my Father are one, not two. In that oneness, all that is God, you are. When you understand as God appearing as individual, you and me, you will understand why all that God is, you are. As they say in the Episcopal Church, here into the first lesson. So I want to talk to you, and I want to give you a practice you can do while we're doing this. Let me start by saying there are many ways to get to a deeper understanding or deeper sense or realization of the nature of your being. Michael is doing classes, it's one more class on Patanjali's Sutras, which is a yogic way of doing it. Transcendental meditation says you can get there by doing transcendental meditation. The way I'm going to talk to you about today is a way you can do with your eyes open while you're walking around. And since we're not going to be doing 30 minutes of meditation right this minute, you can start it right now. If it clicks in for you, how cool that will be. Because it means as you walk out of here, you drive anywhere, you're walking anywhere, you can use it. And what you'll be doing is conditioning your awareness, your habitual sense of what you think you are, into being the awareness itself. Now let me talk about what awareness is, which I've done before, but I'll do a repeat. Essentially, awareness is the container that holds all your experience. Now, when I say all your experience, I mean all your experience. When you feel something, when you think something, when you see something, hear, taste, smell something, when you remember something, when you anticipate something, those are experiences. But something has to be aware that you're doing that. When you touch something, maybe you actually are touching it with your fingers, but what will let you know you're doing it is the awareness that is the core of who you are. And what this means is that when you're moving away from the content in your thing toward the awareness, you're moving from forcing your attention outward to forcing it inward. You're bringing your attention back. And after a while, your attention doesn't need to be forced. It can just begin to rest there. And it is awareness, aware of awareness. Now, one of the cues about this, that if you're describing this and you say, I feel, you're talking about content. If you say, I think, or it's sort of like a color, it's a color rather than it's like something. If you're saying that, you're still in content, you haven't moved to awareness. But awareness has been with you every single moment of your existence. There has never been a time when you did not have awareness. In this very moment, you may not be paying attention to it yet, but your awareness is how you know that you know something. And when you turn your attention toward the awareness, what you'll find is that you begin to change, actually. And you begin to realize what those words meant, that you are as God. When you realize you are as God, not wanting God over here, not trying to get to something, but you're actually it. That the very thing you thought was so elusive has been walking around as you the whole time. This is like that old Indian thing. God wanted to hide, so it buried itself inside of you. This is you as God. And you may feel that you have a great story or a terrible story. You may feel as though you're the champion of the world or the loser. You might be happy, sad, indifferent. When you move to awareness as the realization of the true identity of who you are, there are three characteristics that it feels like. It feels happy, it feels peaceful, and it feels love. Chit. Something, I forgot the Sanskrit. So anyway, this is you. This is you as God. And so much of the Western world has believed that the world starts with objects, with matter, with stuff. That stuff is what the world came from, and then out of that, somehow an epiphenomenon of consciousness arises. This actually has not always been the case even in the West, and it's not true of Eastern thought necessarily. What's come about is that we have, by faith, and not by proof, by faith have assumed that matter is primary, consciousness is secondary. Many scientists are flipping that because they're realizing they can't actually find matter anywhere. And so they're looking for another, and they go deeper and deeper, and finally they're looking for a unified field, a field that holds everything together. And for some of them, it's called consciousness. For the spiritual person, it's called consciousness. That God is awareness or consciousness. God is consciousness. God is consciousness. God's not essentially playing with clay to make you. God is as you. That's a very fundamental flip for us. It's very much part of what this book is trying to get us to do, which is to flip from being matter to being spirit. Is another way of saying it. From being predetermined by the limits of physicality to being awake to your true and unlimited nature. And so when someone says that you're like a drop of the ocean, a drop of the ocean, and so you have the qualities of the ocean, it's more like you're a wave of the ocean. There is no way for you to be separate from the ocean itself. There's no way for you to be separate from God. And there's no way that this world that you see could have any existence for you if you weren't always already aware. And as the container, when you look at it, it's all inside there. And there is no there that is not inside your awareness. And that this awareness is primary, this consciousness is primary. I'm going to take just one more minute with this and we'll get back to the book, but the practice is this way. Instead of looking out in the world, instead of looking just at what you can see, look at the one who's seeing. The question sometimes starts this way: who am I? Or what am I that is aware of this? And then you go to find out what that is. You move back. And you can do it while your eyes are open. And one of the things that helps is when you, instead of focusing narrowly, you focus widely, broad, like this. And then you become to realize that you're more being than thing. That you're not an it, you are the presence. Now, one thing about awareness, when you look at it, it doesn't stop. There's no edge to it. It just keeps going. So in essence, it's infinite, which means, oddly, this is quite curious, if it's infinite and unbroken, then we're all that consciousness. We're sharing that same consciousness so that we can be our individualized self, but we are that wave on the ocean. Because unbroken consciousness, and that will be your experience when you look, unbroken consciousness means it is unified and one. And so all of us in this room, and all the people out there, and all the people out there, and all the people back there, all of them are sharing one consciousness, individualized, they think. They feel like it's I, but it happens to be just one. It's usually I because we have a body, and therefore we got attached to it. But once you're in the awareness, you'll see that this is just one. And what is omniscient, omnipresent, unconditional? What do we usually call that? It's a 3-letter word. Right? And I've often wondered how we could say, I am God. Well, I've just told you what makes sense to me today. That the way it makes sense to me today is that there's just one consciousness that we are sharing. We call it I because I have a body. But when we get beyond the body, it is just one consciousness. And you find it, and you can get there through several methods, but the one I'm offering you today is to not look out, but to look in. And to continue that. So how you would do it right now is with your eyes wide open, you just look in. Just turn the awareness toward itself. And it knows itself when it's there. And you will feel it. But it won't be a feeling, if you catch my drift. I can feel y'all. Can you feel the shift in the room? This is a great practice. Driving, you can do it. You can drive along and your eyes are just peeled back and you're moving forward. And what the spiritual healing, this book, The Art of Spiritual Healing, is saying that when you are in God consciousness, or the consciousness that is this one shared consciousness, when you're in that and you go deep enough into it, then you actually contact a different level of being. So I have a slide that Mary's going to put up there. And I want to just say, it doesn't quite show up here quite enough, but it's darker at the top and gets lighter as it goes down. And for lack of a better way of doing this, we did emojis at the top. So that's ordinary life. And as you go sink into this awareness state, into your transcendent state, first thing you reach is the Christ consciousness. And the Christ consciousness is this. The reason it's getting lighter is because you're going toward the light, right? You're seeing the Christ consciousness, which is more or less individualized God consciousness. And then if you go beyond that, you get to God consciousness. And there are layers beyond that. But let's just say, let's deal with these. When you sink in, and one way you can do it is by looking at the awareness itself. And this takes a lot of the mystery out of it, doesn't it? Because it's just a simple practice. Look at the one that is looking. Turn your attention inward. Hang out there. And at some point, you will find that you are touching Christ consciousness. And as you continue, you will find yourself going deeper into God consciousness. And what happened to Joel Goldsmith, by some method, and it wasn't this one, by some method, he was able to contact the God consciousness. And when he was in the God consciousness, the world changed before him. The healings happened. And his way of healing was not to go try to make things happen or even to talk to God. Of course he wasn't talking to God. He was trying to be that. And when he was being that consciousness, then healings happened around him. Now, I don't know if there's something special about him. I never figured that out. Was he special in that his gift to the world was healing? And it could be. And your gift to the world could be peace. Your gift to the world could be love. Your gift could be a deeper understanding of the nature of being. I'm not sure what your gift would be, but when you go to God consciousness, you're now at the source of awareness itself. You are that which is forming everything, but it not as something other than you, but as the connection with this universal consciousness which you're sharing with everybody else and with God, as we might have called it in the past, itself, herself, himself. I think we should do the theta wave right here, you know. When you get deep enough into theta, you're in the theta wave. So we'll theta wave. Yeah, there we go. We're trying in this time period in this church, it's to trying not to focus on doing, but on being. Being the presence. Being the Christed being. Being the one who's aware of their own divine nature. And as you tend to look at your own awareness, what you find is you stop being the doer and you become the witness state and the presence that holds all that's going on. And you're the presence, the being of God. Now, if that doesn't get you up in the morning, what will, right? We have tried for a long time to find God out there, haven't we? And we have prayed to God out there, and we have tried to do things to influence that which was other. And now the real secret's out, that it isn't other, it's within. It's not that which we seek, it is this which we seek. And the path inward is always there for you. Peace, love, and happiness. Those are the consequences of turning inward. Maybe healing. Maybe wisdom. Maybe grace. Something may come from you. But when you become the light of the world is blessed. When you become the salt of the earth, the world is blessed. When you become the Christed being you have always been, when that becomes you, what a difference. And so what I'm asking of you is that you practice looking out, or practice your transcendental meditation, or practice your yogic tradition, or practice Unity's 5 steps of prayer and meditation. Practice shifting from thinking you're an it to being the presence itself. And do it often and long enough that collectively, when we come together, there's a synergy that snaps us faster and faster, so that the vibration, the theta wave that we're on, the theta wave passes through the organization, and we reinforce each other as we do this. And you no longer feel like you're isolated and alone, one, because your awareness has now connected you with everything, but also because a communal sense in the physical plane will be also present. I'm asking you to practice being the presence. How could we go wrong? Let us pray. Feel your heart. Feel your heart. What is your heart's desire? Is it calling you to really come home? To stop chasing happiness and be it? To stop seeing the world as a problem and be peace? To touch that glorious experience of love without reservation? If so, let's follow our hearts and return home. And so it is. Amen. I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.